This is Cerebral Cinema. Movies of the mind.
Cerebral Cinema and the WON Radio Network present to you Superwoman. Yes, Superwoman, the dynamic crime fighter. Superwoman, the champion of justice. Superwoman, who in truth is mild-mannered Chicago news reporter Emily Nesbacher.
Sunday is a big day on CBS. Jack Benny and Bergen and McCarthy, Rocky Jordan and our Miss Brooks, The Whistler and Red Skelton. Yes, for varied entertainment, Sunday is a big day on CBS. Now, Del Monte Foods brings you a world of adventure with Rocky Jordan.
His name was Karl Kleist, K-L-E-I-S-T. For the past 3 years, I'd see him around Cairo. I'd nod to him, he'd nod back. And that was the sum total of our relationship. 120 pounds of insignificant little guy. I thought. How wrong can you be? Karl Kleist turned out to be dynamite with a short fuse that figured to explode my face.
Del Monte, the brand you trust for flavor in so many good foods. Yes, Del Monte, the best-liked brand of canned fruits and vegetables in the whole wide world, takes you now to the Café Tambourine in Cairo, gateway to the ancient East, where modern adventure and intrigue unfold against a backdrop of antiquity. Tonight's Rocky Jordan story, The Mystery of Karl Kleist.
Started when the sound of the burglar alarm cut into the quiet night air. It wasn't my alarm. It came from down the street, the Bon Voyage tourist agency, run by the brothers Willie and Karl Kleist. You know how it is when you hear a burglar alarm go off. You listen, look, say, somebody's burglar alarm, and let it go at that. I probably would have done the same, but as I looked down the street to where the sound was coming from, I heard another sound. Someone inside the tourist agency was throwing heavy objects through the front plate window. I figured I'd better get down and take a look. When I got there, a small crowd had already gathered.
Someone is inside. I was passing by. The window began to break. I heard someone calling.
All right, let's go in.
The door is locked, sir. I have tried.
Then we go in through the window. After we widen it, watch out, I'll use my foot. Yeah, that'll do it. Come on.
He's hollow, sir. How may we stop the alarm, sir?
Don't worry, I'll get it. This wire'll do it.
Effendi, over here. I have found him. Look, sir.
Willie Kleist.
He has been knifed.
So I see. Willie, it's Jordan, the tambourine, down the street.
He is still alive. How is it possible for him to be alive with such a large knife in him?
Shut up.
I'm truly amazed.
Tell Karl, they have come.
Who has come, Willie? Who knifed you?
They have come. They'll tell Karl to hide. Oh.
Zell.
What has happened, sir? Has he died?
Yeah.
I knew it would be so. He could not live with such a large knife in him.
You better stick around, Smiley. There are going to be some questions. I'll call the police.
Well, the cash box is still full. Obviously, robbery did not enter into the killing of Willie Kleist in the slightest.
Oh, I didn't think so, Sam. Not after what Willie said.
Yes, of course. Well, the killer was not seen by anyone, huh? Apparently, he left by the back door.
Leaving Willie for dead. But Willie was still alive and threw some ashtrays through the window to attract attention. You know what I think, Sam? I think whoever did Willie in didn't come for Willie. Or at least didn't come for Willie alone. He came for Karl, too.
Jordan, what do you know of his brother, Karl?
Oh, not much. They ran this tourist agency together. Moved in a few years ago. They're Austrian. Karl's a little guy, quiet, always got a book under his arm. Seems completely lost in thought.
Well, I will see if I can locate him. He undoubtedly will be able to shed a great deal of light on this affair.
If you can find him. If he's still alive, I'll bet he's in hiding.
From Zell?
From Zell.
Jordan, are you sure Willie Kleist gave you no description of this Zell? Nothing which would make my task of locating him easier?
Nothing, Sam.
Well, it does not seem I have much to go on.
Keep me informed, will you? I'm going to be interested in seeing how you work this out. Sabaya went to work, and I went back to the tambourine, putting the affair of the murder of Willie Kleist in the back of my mind. But I didn't stay there long. The next day, about 3 in the afternoon, I had a visitor. Tall and thin, in her early 30s. You could tell she was a traveler, not a tourist.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes,
I was wondering if I could speak to you for a moment.
you can.
My name is Ilse Altman. I travel for the Continental Hotel chain. I happen to be in Cairo on my way to Algiers. And I read in the paper this morning of the death of Willie Kleist.
I see.
The paper said that you were the one who discovered the... Well, anyway, that is why I am here. This is the Willie Kleist who has a brother named Charles.
Yes,
Karl?
Miss Altman. Karl, that's the one.
I see. Well, Mr. Jordan, can you tell me where I might find this Karl?
I'm sorry, I don't know. The police are looking for him, too.
Captain Zabaya, the paper said. He is in charge.
Yes, you might go see him. If anyone would know where Karl Kleist is, if he isn't dead, Sabaya would.
Is there a possibility Karl, too, might be dead?
You should know anything's possible. Why are you so interested in Karl?
A personal matter.
It always is. You know him well?
I did know him well. At one time, we were going to be married.
Oh, I see.
Now, our plans were changed, as plans like these often are. I would like to see him again, however.
Tell me something, Miss Altman. Did you ever hear Karl mention anyone named Zell? Z-E-L-L?
Anyone? No, I do not believe so.
Are you sure?
Well, it is hard to be sure. After all, I have not seen Karl in some time, and I do not remember everything he said to me.
You better go see Captain Sabaya. You can probably help each other. I'll phone him and tell him you're on your way. I gave her the address of Central Police Headquarters and walked her to the front door. She thanked me and was on her way, walking south from the tambourine. That's when I noticed the guy in the white linen suit. He was tailing Ilse Altman, and it didn't look right. On the corner, she caught a cab, and Big Boy went for a cab of his own. I went for him and got there just as he was opening the back door. I stepped in close to keep him from moving into the cab. Hey, you got a match, mister?
What?
A match. I need a light.
Get out of the way.
It's not fair tailing Ilse Altman. She may already have a boyfriend. Or do you work for Zell?
I said get out of the way.
His big hand reached up and grabbed me by the coat. I started to swing, but I was pressed up close to the cab and couldn't get up much power. Besides, he was faster, and a hairy right caught me in the face. It had a lot of steam and shook me up. Before I could recover, he grabbed my shoulders and threw me to the sidewalk.
Taxi. Follow that cab. Hurry.
By the time I picked myself up, Gorilla and his cab were off in a cloud of carbon monoxide in hot pursuit of Ilse Altman. But I wasn't unhappy. I figured I'd slowed him up long enough for her to get away. When I got back to my office, the phone was ringing. Jordan speaking.
Jordan, this is Sam Sabaya.
Oh, I was just going to call you, Sam. That was a girl.
Jordan, I have called to issue you instructions.
Instruction?
You are to disengage yourself from any concern with the Kleist affair.
What?
What I say is quite clear.
I don't get it. What's up?
Nothing you need know, Jordan. Just heed my word. You are to have nothing to do with the affair. As a matter of fact, you might do well to forget the murder of Willie Kleist and even act as though you have never heard of a man named Karl Kleist. That is all, Jordan. Goodbye.
Why, Sam? What's all this mystery about Karl
Jordan,
Kleist?
it is impossible for me to answer that question because it is impossible for you to ask it. Remember, you have never even heard of a man named Karl Kleist. Goodbye, Jordan.
Sam.
Jordan, this is not what you think it is. Heed my warning or there shall be trouble.
Well, it had turned into something important. That was easy to see. I mulled it over for a while, thinking about Ilse Altman, the big guy tagging her, but most of all about Zell and who he was. The next day, I fell a little deeper into the Karl Kleist case. I was walking down the Sharia El Mumar on my way to the barber when I heard a voice.
Jordan B.
It was Yusef, an Egyptian shoeshine boy who worked the streets around the tambourine. A little guy who seemed to know as much about people as the secret police.
I have seen him, Jordan B. I have seen him.
Who have you seen?
The man you are looking for.
Who, Zell?
No, the other one, Karl Kleist. I know where he is. Come, Jordan, we come.
And with that, he turned and bolted down the street. I moved after him, jostled a lady carrying a load of vegetables, excused myself, and kept right on going after the scurrying Yusuf. He led me up a couple of back streets and stopped in front of an old rat-eaten rooming house run by a German named Brombacher. Inside, Yusuf took me down a dark, smelly hall to a door marked 6.
Inside, Jordan B. Inside. Karl Kleist is inside.
I opened the door with caution, stepped into the room.
Who's there?
Cowering in the corner was 120 pounds of nervous man, Karl Kleist, and he held a gun.
Go away. Go away.
Karl, it's me, Jordan.
Go away. Go away.
Karl, the police are looking for you. They'll give you protection. Now, come on with me.
Liar. Go away.
He started to empty the gun in my direction. Yusuf and I hit the floor. The bullets cut into the wall, and then I moved for Karl fast, but he was wild with fear. He threw the empty gun at me, then picked up a chair and began to whack me with it. So there was nothing for me to do but plant one right on his jaw. Just took an easy one to lay him out cold. Then I stood over him to bring him to. I opened his shirt. The first thing I saw tattooed on his chest was a 4-letter word. Z-E-L-L. Zell. There it was again, and as big a mystery as ever.
Del Monte Foods is presenting tonight's adventure with Rocky Jordan. Ask most men to name their favorite foods, and I think you'll find that corn, sweet, butter-tender, golden corn, rates right up there near the steak and potatoes. And if you want to give the men at your house corn just exactly the way they think it should be, give them Del Monte golden whole kernel corn for sure.
Yes, Larry, it makes a lot of difference which brand of corn you buy. It's a product you can really compare and tell the difference.
So many women are finding Del Monte corn outstanding on every count. It's wonderfully sweet, with a high natural sugar content that's grown right in. Yet it's rich in hearty summer flavor, too. Not only that, but it's remarkably tender. Those plump, milky Del Monte corn kernels are so very thin-skinned, they all but melt in your mouth. You'll agree you've hit a new high in corn enjoyment the day you try Del Monte corn.
I appreciate its dependable quality, too. But then I guess everybody knows you can't beat any Del Monte product for that.
Why not enjoy delicious Del Monte vacuum-packed golden whole kernel corn tomorrow? Remember, it's thrifty, too. And now we take you back to Cairo and tonight's Rocky Jordan story, The Mystery of Karl Kleist.
It had all started with the murder of Willie Kleist and the disappearance of his terror-stricken brother, Karl. Mixed in someplace were Karl's former fiancée, Ilse Altman, and a big guy in a white linen suit. Then a little shoeshine boy found Karl Kleist and led me to him. In the scuffle that followed, Karl got laid out, and when I opened his shirt, the tattooing on his chest said Zell, the same word Willie had uttered just before he died. Zell, whoever he was the crux to the entire mystery. Well, I sent Yusuf to find a phone to call Sam and bent over Karl to bring him to. That's when Brombacher, the German who ran the rooming house, stepped into the room.
What is happening? I heard shooting. Oh, what is the matter with Karl?
Nothing. Some cold water won't fix. Here, help me get him on the bed, huh?
Yeah. Sure.
Here, on the bed now. I guess I tapped him a little harder than I realized. The water now, huh?
What is this on Karl's chest? Then?
Does it mean anything to you?
Huh. Peculiar anyone should tattoo such a thing on a chest? I get the button now.
Just a minute. Who is Zell?
Oh, Zell is not somebody. Zell is a place. Lake Zell. Zell is a lake in Austria. I've been there once or twice. Now I get the button.
So it wasn't a who, it was a what. Zell wasn't a person, but a place. Lake Zell. But even that didn't mean anything to me. Why should a place be so important? Why should its mention be feared? Why should it be one of the last words Willie Kleist uttered? While Bromberger poured some water and then proceeded to bring Karl to, these questions ran through my mind. Well, maybe Sabaya would have the answer. He'd be there soon enough. But as it turned out, somebody beat him to it.
Well, Mr. Jordan, you were not able to help me before, but you certainly have helped me now.
Ilse Altman, and she held a .32. Standing alongside of her were two friends, a couple of muscular white-turbaned Bedouin tribesmen with knives in their belts.
Mr. Bromberger, I suggest you turn around and face the wall and remain that way until we leave. It will be safer for you.
Yeah, I do that.
Humar, you might do well to stand by Mr. Bromberger with the knife to the neck so he does not call out.
As you wish, madam.
It looks like I made a mistake, Miss Altman. You're on the wrong side.
Yes, Mr. Jordan, you did. But don't feel too badly about it. We all make mistakes one time or another. Karl, are you all right?
Yes, I am all right.
Oh, that is fine, Karl. You appear to be somewhat shaken. Did Mr. Jordan injure you when he hit you?
I am all right.
Then, shall we go?
She said she was once your fiancée, Karl. You pick rough women.
No, she was not my fiancée.
Uh-huh. Well, if you'd have given me a little more time, Miss Altman, I'd have probably figured it out. I'd have remembered you didn't crack when I said the police and I thought Zell was a person. You've been around. You'd be sure to know it was a lake in Austria. What's it mean?
Mr. Jordan, why do you not realize that the less you know of this affair, the more secure your life is? Turn to the wall, too, like the good Mr. Bromberger, and in a moment, Karl Kleist and I will leave, and you need never let the thought of either of us cross your mind again.
So you won't get far. I sent a shoeshine boy out to phone Captain Sabaya some time ago. The police are probably outside now.
Not likely, Mr. Jordan. The boy did not reach a telephone. But do not worry, Mr. Jordan. He will not be injured. Neither will you or the nice, quiet Mr. Bromberger. All we want is Karl. Now come, Karl. We really must be going.
Jordan, I told you distinctly upon the telephone that you were to disengage yourself completely from the Kleist affair.
Sam, I'm telling you, I didn't have any choice.
When Yosef told you he knew where Karl Kleist was, you should not have gone with him. You should have come instead to me.
There wasn't time. Yusuf was off like a streak. I had all I could do to follow him, let alone get in touch with you.
Oh, well, yes. I suppose you had no other course. You will have to excuse my manner. It is that I am quite upset about the fact that Miss Altman now has Karl.
What's it all about, Sam? What's the big mystery? What's this Zell business?
The Zell business. Come with me into the other room, Jordan. There's someone there I think you might as well now meet.
Mr. White Linen Suit?
Yes, Mr. White Linen Suit. Jordan, this is Mr. Frank Sunday of the American Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Oh. Looks like I got in the way of the wrong person.
Yes, I'm afraid you did, Mr. Jordan.
I guess it's my day for making mistakes. I'm sorry.
Well, that's nice, but it's not enough. You sure fouled the works. Because of you, Ilse Altman escaped me. She's a smart woman, Jordan, and a vicious one. She had Willie Kleist killed, and it's a good bet she'll do the same to Karl.
Why?
Why? Because of Lake Zell in Austria and what it means. Sit down, Jordan. You might as well know. Story goes like this. In early 1945, when Allied troops were surging into Germany, there was a group of German scientists and aeronautical engineers working in a hideaway in the Bavarian Alps. They were at work on a project called Incion, a highly secretive and a highly important project. Incion was a pilotless plane that could rise 40,000 feet a minute. It carried a 1,000-pound warhead, which exploded on contact. An extremely advanced type weapon.
Oh, I'm still listening.
20 such planes were constructed, but by then it was quite apparent to the Germans that the war was lost. And a special courier arrived at the Bavarian hideaway with orders from Hitler. The Incions were to be destroyed. And all the blueprints of the project, plus all information of an advanced nature, were to be put into airtight steel cases and dropped into the waters of Lake Zell in Austria. And so the story goes, Jordan. If it is true, we must know the information of an advanced nature inside those cases.
And Karl Kleist can tell.
Yes. He was one of the high-ranking aeronautical engineers working on the projects. His identification was that tattoo on his chest.
Well, that clears up a lot of things. Ilsa Altman's still fighting the last war.
Or the next one, Jordan. She and whoever she's working for. They don't want us to get Karl Kleist because of what he might tell. Now she has him. Can we get him back before he's killed, Jordan?
It sounded like an invitation to help. But whether it was or not didn't matter. They were going to get my help anyway. I'd played it like a first-class sucker. I didn't like the taste it left in my mouth. Sabaya got out a call, of course, and his men started looking for Ilsa Altman and her Bedouins. I left headquarters and began to tap some sources of my own. Camel drivers who knew the desert trails and the desert hideaways. Had any of them seen an encampment of Bedouins with a European lady? Most of them hadn't. But a wizened old character named Shalik had seen some Bedouins. Not one encampment, but 3. At any of these encampments had he seen the European woman? No. So Shalik and I rented a jeep and went out to look over the 3 encampments. Number 1, 7 or 8 kilometers beyond the Bulak Bridge, turned out to be a dud. So did number 2, some old ruins of Ramesses II or III. Number 3 was a deserted oasis at the bottom of a valley.
Oh, we had better stop upon the rise here, Effendi, so we will not be seen.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There below is the encampment.
1, 2, 3 horses. One of them must have 4 ply.
What, Effendi?
4 ply, Shalik. Those are tire tracks down there going into that growth.
Yes, so they are, Effendi.
Well, this could be it. I'm going down and find out. Shalik, there's a big date farm a couple of kilometers back. Drive down and phone Sabaya. Tell him where I am. And tell him I'd like to see him very much with a half a dozen or so of his best men. Just in case. Well, I moved carefully through the sand, keeping in the shadows of the dunes. It was slow going. Sand was loose, and I didn't want to start a slide for fear one of the Bedouins would see it and wonder about the movement. Slowly, I inched my way closer, the object being to get near enough to the encampment to get a look at the faces of the Bedouins sitting cross-legged outside of a tent. It was Humar's face, the face of Ilsa Altman's number 1 boy I wanted to see. Then I'd know and would beat it back up the rise and wait for Sam. Oh, and I saw it all right. He was one of the 3 men sitting there. But as I saw him, he saw me. He yelled at his men. I turned and ran up the rise, but it was rough going, my feet sinking ankle deep in the sand. They had it much easier. Humar and his men came after me on horses. I kept on going, but they got closer. In a moment, they were on me. Humar leaned down from the saddle, raised a heavy fist, and threw it with all his might into the back of my neck.
In just a moment, Rocky Jordan returns to conclude tonight's story. If you'd like to make your salads, first courses, or desserts as bright and colorful as a May basket of spring flowers, you should get acquainted with Del Monte Fruit Cocktail. It's a regular bouquet of color and flavor in itself.
I should say so, Larry. Del Monte Fruit Cocktail adds so much glamour to a meal. And it's easy, too.
Yes, Del Monte Fruit Cocktail is good looking, good eating, and a real time and work saver besides. You get luscious peaches, mellow pears, and tart-sweet tropical pineapple, ready cut and mixed with juicy seedless grapes and scarlet cherry halves. Just think, you don't have to select the fruits, pare them, cut them, or do any of the work yourself. And why should you, when you can get such a sparkling fruit combination ready prepared and perfectly balanced for flavor? You'll be proud to serve Del Monte Fruit Cocktail on any occasion.
Actually, that's one reason why I keep it handy all the time, so I'll always be prepared for last-minute company to dinner.
It's menu help you should have in your kitchen day in and day out. Stock up with Del Monte Fruit Cocktail next time you shop. Now, back to Rocky Jordan for the conclusion of tonight's story.
I woke up sometime later inside the tent with a large-sized headache. Humar was there carrying a silly grin. Ilsa Altman was there, too, with a gun in a holster. And And so was Karl Kleist.
Mr. Jordan, why? Why do you insist upon placing me in a position where I must make difficult decisions?
I guess I'm just nasty that way.
Everything was so simple. Karl and I had a long talk, did we not, Karl?
Yeah, we had a long talk.
We discussed what was important to Karl. He did not wish to die insignificantly on his desert. He decided he would leave Egypt with me and return to our friends of long ago and continue in the field of aerodynamics to do important work for the future. Did you not decide so, Karl?
Yes, Elsa. You were most convincing in our talk.
There, Mr. Jordan. Karl and I were to leave Egypt quietly, with no further bloodshed. And now you have upset everything. You have come to disturb the tranquility. What must I do with you?
Oh, stop it. You're going to make me cry.
Oh, well, quick decisions. Humar? Kill him.
Umar drew his knife and moved toward me. The silly look in his face grew larger and his eyes sparkled. He was in for some fun, he thought. 4 steps were all he took.
Karl!
I'm not so convinced. Karl Kleist yanked Ilse's revolver out of her holster and turned it on Humar.
Karl! Give me that gun!
I will not go back!
Karl! Why did you do that? Why?
You had better take the gun, Mr. Jordan. Other 2 Bedouins may come in.
More coffee, Jordan?
Oh, no thanks, Sam. I've had my fill.
Well, I will have a little more. Well, the affair of Karl Kleist is at last at its end. Mr. Sante will take him to the United States in the morning.
And Ilse and Humar made the morgue.
Killed in a moment of desperation by a man who too long kept secret knowledge he should have told. Jordan, something has just struck me.
What's that, Sam?
Do you realize that we do not know the real ending of the Kleist affair? We do not know if the story of the steel cases at the bottom of Lexerot is true or not.
I guess we don't. I guess we won't.
Well, I suppose we do not have to know everything. If the story is not true, if there's not information of an advanced nature of aeronautics at the bottom of Lexerot, most of this has been for naught.
And if there is?
Then I'm quite sure your American government will be able to get it from Karl Kleist. And all of this has not been for naught.
And you'd like to know which is true for sure.
Oh, well, Jordan, you cannot blame me for being curious.
What do you got there?
A coin, Jordan. Observe. Heads, it is true. Tails, it is false.
Heads or tails?
Well, what could a coin tell? More coffee, Jordan?
Heads or tails, Sam?
Neither. It fell in a crack and is standing on its side.
For superb flavor, for dependable quality always, enjoy Del Monte fruits and vegetables. Remember, buy wisely. Buy for flavor. Buy Del Monte, the brand you trust for flavor in so many good foods. Rocky Jordan, written by Larry Roman and Gomer Cool, stars Jack Moyles in the title role with Jay Novello as Sam Sabayat, and is produced and directed by Cliff Howell, with original music composed and conducted by Richard Arunt. Remember, you have a date next week at the Cafe Tambourine, run by Rocky Jordan. Same time, same station. And the story is Horde of the Memlooks. Anytime you're thirsty, pour yourself a tall, sparkling glass of golden Del Monte pineapple juice. There's real refreshment for you rich in the tropical tart sweet flavor of full ripe pineapples. Make yours Del Monte pineapple juice next time. Larry Thor speaking. Rocky Jordan is presented over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Cerebral Cinema hopes you have enjoyed this movie of the mind.